From the Petrified Woods, we come out to, what are we calling this? The Field of the Dead. The Field of the Dead is meant to be a desert, and also a hub that connects all the different areas. The Safety Hut, which we'll explore next. I don't know why those blocks are disappearing. Is meant to be just kind of a semi-pre-built base to get you started. And here, about the central place, we have an information center. This told you where to look for the gold bars, of which there are 9, and only 9 hidden in different areas. In the next version of this map that I had built, I made it so each area only had 1, so I improved it a little, I suppose. And from this, you can get to Dungeon 3. Dungeon 1, as you recall, was inside the forest. Dungeon 2 is somewhere over here. You know, if the floors keep disappearing, if the chunks, it's going to show us Dungeon 2. Here's Dungeon 2. And then these things, I thought, was going to be interesting, because the cap would make it so it stays dark. The spawner, I think I tried to set it so it would activate from really far away. And the obsidian, I believe, yes, each hides a spawner. This would protect them from burning in the sun, and my hope was they'd come out here, and basically, these would become archery towers. I doubt that it actually ends up working that way, but that was the thought. Then also from here, you have access to some materials, if you want to take the time to get them. And just some extra spawners to help protect these little chunks of ore, whatever they're supposed to be. And then you have, of course, the main path to the monument. Switching over to the first major revision that we had done to this map back in 2014, we find ourselves a lot higher up. The Monument Island from here is actually a direct copy-paste from 1.2.5, the very first version of the map. Only in this case, it's placed on top of a spire, which means I had to build another spire so you could get up to it. But everything else is the same. What's not the same at all is the desert. If we fly over here to the exit of the Petrified Forest, now we're at an elevated point and a pathway filled with all sorts of terrible things. But then it opens up. It opens up to this very central area. And from the central area, you can reach everywhere, really. This leads up to Dungeon 3. This leads over to Dungeon 2. What used to be just a container of water with a water bucket in it that was just plopped down in the middle of the desert. Now there's a whole area, not an elaborate area, but an area with a couple nooks to explore, some paths that wind, a new take on a arrow turret, archer turret type of thing. These spawners should be directional, so it's actually trying to spawn a skeleton here, and it's supposed to be designed so that if this guy dies, it places another one. It's looking to place one skeleton, as long as there's not one skeleton within its range. And this is sort of the only valid spot, even though it's lit up. because it's dark in there, I think it was still triggering. I don't know if that still works at all. And so we'll look at that a little bit in the Bedrock edition. I gotta remember these words. It's late. My brain's working slow. And now we have this whole new area that leads up to what essentially is just a chest with a water bucket in it. But a water bucket is a very helpful tool to have. And there's enough water there that you could create source blocks and, well, you can do whatever you want. Now, you already know what I think of this entire area because I won't shut up about it. But we take the same path out of the petrified forest, down the path. This path is block for block the same in shape, except for the half slabs and the block textures and switches, etc., etc. So just, it looks a little different. And these areas all look a little different. And just the way the lava lights things up, it's just, I love it. I love it. I hope you love it. Everybody should love it. The first thing you may notice, aside from the different blocks, again, another area where block for block, it's almost exactly the same. Except we have a lot of these little areas where I have these lightly customized plants. They're really just mixes of stuff. Like there's a bamboo shoot, and I think a cornflower, the rose bush with different flowers, a couple other strange varieties, and they're not all in one spot. I made a bunch, and then from however many I made, I chose just a few for each area. So there's some slight variety. Then I also took the, I don't even remember what it's actually called, something for the water, but now it's a baby cactus. It still has the sound effects of the sea pickle. Sea pickle, I remember the name. But it's named the right thing. And it's colored the right thing. And it looks really nice next to this. It's just to add variety to the desert, to add some life. Have transitions on the side. Have helpful little signs. Location direction signs. Not as helpful signs. Location name signs. Just signs everywhere. Signs to make sure you don't lose your way. Now here we have yet another iteration of an attempt at the guard tower. And are we in peaceful mode? We might be in peaceful mode. We are not in peaceful mode. So in this case, for the map, oh, that's right. I play tested on this one. That's why they're not there. We have our windstorm skeletons. Now, instead of some kind of potion effect or something else to let the player know they're different, they still have armor, which should be a clue. They have a different color slightly. Might be difficult to tell. And they have a bow. And their bow has punch. And it's not terribly difficult to avoid. But they'll knock you off. I should mention the skeletons in the Sandstone version of the Sandstone map. How do I refer to these different ones? The one that looks just like this, but not as party. They have a similar thing. In 1.2.5, the very first version, I don't think I knew how to make it so they could do stuff like that. So, I don't know. Because we visited the water tower, let's look at the updated water tower. This time, a sign. Advanced fluid manipulator, because I can put a sign in water and have it waterlogged, so it looks pretty cool, kind of fun. I dug some holes in here in such a way that if you break this and the water comes out, it doesn't just pour off the sides. Which, I mean, if it does, it does, but I didn't want that to happen unless you wanted it to happen. So, just a pretty little box with different color copper ore, all waxed so they'll stay different colors. Just adding another little bit of interest. Just a lot of different tweaks. There is lava on the top of this. That's not nice. Why would I do that? And of course, as soon as you break it, the water spills out. It goes everywhere. It makes a terrible mess. You can go there and get your water bucket. Then you can use the water bucket actually to bridge across the lava and get your ores and not die. And that's kind of cool. The other area that we want to look at, I mentioned, is the safety hut. Now, this first version of the safety hut is kind of sad. It's not even called the safety hut. It's called Safe Haven. And there's this button that you should know better. You should know what kind of map this is. You should not think that that's a good idea. But I know some people still try. And here's a little place to grow your trees, so you don't have to make a place on your own. And here's a little place where you can have a farm with free lava light. And I'm pretty sure all this type of stuff, the mycelium and the other decorative dirt type blocks, you can break them and get dirt. So there's a source of dirt in a way, although it is quite limited. What I would do is break this door and the switch and just place a block, or you'd place 2 blocks and make a stairs and kind of climb up here. Quite often when I've played this map, I've had trees up here, including the next version, just because you don't want to be out here when it's dark. So you always have a lot of different ways to play the game, and that's really why I like the CTM, Complete the Monument. I gave you a crafting table because you probably forgot to bring one. Maybe you rushed out here to get out of the petrified forest and you don't actually even have wood. So it would have been nice to have a little bit of wood, a limited supply, and exhaustible supply, but just in case you made it out here and you're like, okay, now what? Because the idea of having to go back in there when you're not supplied and you just survived and you just escaped doesn't seem great. And we go down here, we have Farmer's Helper. It's just some leather armor, diamond hoe, because why not? That's funny. In a map that's all about restriction, why not give you the most powerful diamond hoe for farming that's not a weapon? You can use it as a weapon. It might even do more damage than some of the other weapons. I don't know. And that's it. And I always feel like that shouldn't be it when I'm in here, because I'm so used to that not being it. And the reason I say that shouldn't be it is because look at this safety hut. First, we have it quite elevated, away from the scary citizens of the dead desert, the death desert, the sorrow, deep death sorrow desert. And we come all the way around, and this certainly looks familiar, doesn't it? Except it's named the safety hut. And please take my advice. And we have the crafting table. And we have the stairs. But the stairs continue. And here I've taken out the pillars to give a little more breathing room. And it's no longer whatever it was before it was the thing that it isn't. It's now the Hillian farming supplies. And this was out of my thanks that Joe played the map, Joe Hills. And so this was kind of fashioned after him. Although I didn't get very deep with the item lore. Just a couple decorative flowers, a potato because it looks like a head, Not trying to say you got a potato head, Joe. It's a potato. It looks like a head. Closing out of that wonderful chest, we continue down the stairs, and we see a beautiful farming area with more water source blocks. My intention in this map was to make it so you could not get water unless you went all the way up that path to the water bucket box, we'll call it. Yet, I've given source blocks everywhere, which is fine, but kind of seems to go against my thought path at the time. We go down the winding stairs, we jump down because we weren't creative, but even in survival, I think that's a fairly survivable thing. And we come down and we get stone. Maybe the only area in the map where you can have stone. But don't worry, there's silverfish blocks mixed in a little bit. An enchanting table. Is that a zombie villager? Hey! Maybe you could cure him. I don't know. Some cobblestone, which is actually infested. More silverfish. And a brewing station, if you take the time to examine and explore and look around. We have our custom magma juice and small potion of regeneration. The way they do custom potions on Bedrock Edition is far different than Java. In Java, you actually tag the item with all the different potion effects, their duration, and I suppose in Bedrock Edition it's slightly similar, but not quite. It's more an effect of the food. Potions in Bedrock Edition are food. And then here we have some gas, if you wanted to spawn them and get the regeneration tier, the gas tier. Just trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to say. Let's jump in Bedrock Edition. Safety Hut 2.0. And you'll see in my bar the different foods. I was trying to fix a bug with one of the foods. It was giving an error for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, I guess I do know why because I fixed it, but it's not the point. It's not the point. We have the Safety Hut 2.0. I have done my best to really up the visual style of this thing, and it's kind of a hot mess, but I like it. We don't have the button and metal door. Oh, I was still flying. Sorry. But you do have danger of falling in, especially here. If you jump and you hit the fence, you kind of really have to. But there's no need. There's no need to jump. You, as the player, might feel impulsed. Like, oh, I just gotta jump again. No, this is Minecraft. You pick a block, you build a block. I mean, you don't literally pick a block. You use a pick on a block to get the block, and then you place the block. And then you're good. And then it's safe. We have a quite cramped feel as compared to the previous iteration. There's a smoker. There is a chest out the back. Where I just give some chests, some signs, some stone bricks based on the previous conversation we had 4 minutes ago. I placed 4 wood planks in there just in case you do make it all the way out here and you don't have any wood at all. At least give you enough to make some basic tools. There's an anvil, but it's broken. If you look underneath, there's a block of raw iron, which I think you can just turn that into 9 iron. So that's pretty cool. Free 9 iron from the bat. Here's a upgrade table, which you probably won't need, but there is a limited amount of netherite in the map. A bed to help you set your spawn. And then instead of stairs, a little ladder. Now this area, I really like the look. So here we now have a farm and the Hillian farming supplies on the same level, the same tier, instead of like what we had before. There's no water source blocks, so you are going to need to go gather that water bucket. And that's not because I really wanted to be limiting, but I made it such a cool-looking landmark, an interesting-looking landmark, hopefully, that if you go all the way up there and you get a water bucket after you've already had water here, water there, water wherever, maybe you went and got the iron and you made your own bucket and then you gathered your own water, it makes it less valuable. So I'm artificially inflating the value of that reward. And beets, which are, now, how do I get a beet? How do I just look at a beet? How do I spell beet? How do I put 2 E's? Give me a beet. Beets are not a fantastic food. 0.5. Food haunches. The cookies you get that have potion effects, these ones aren't great examples because they don't have the extra text on them since I got them from the creative menu. But 1.5. The jerky is 2.5. The probably kale, which I don't even think you have a way of getting in this map. It's just something I've had in my map, so I moved it over. I should make it so the flowers drop this. I really should make it so the flowers drop this. But I haven't quite sussed out how to do that, and I don't want to fight with it. So maybe this is just a secret Easter egg between you and me. There's probably kale in this game, but you have no way to get it. And spider candy. Spider candy's a good food. It's not poisonous. It doesn't do anything bad. And it's dropped by spiders. So spiders are useful. But all that to say, beets, as cool as they are, they're not a great food source. Let's check this out. I replaced the potato because I did feel bad. My comment on the potato being a head in a potato head was because those are thoughts I actually had. I'm not trying to call Joe Hills a potato head, but it's a gold ingot. Gold ingot is a callback to the first version of this map. You may or may not have noticed I took the time, probably unnecessarily, to name all the chests the same as the sign. We have a couple of the custom flowers instead of whatever was in here before. You got the siege, you got the tunic, and you have the Hylian farming implement. At least I named it. Honestly, I should put a quote on here. I don't know that I will, because I like it. I like it the way it is. And I'm trying to get this done. Then we go down one more. Okay, block for block, nearly the same. I staggered some blocks down. I made it look a little more collapsed. I gave the stairway a dark oak treatment. I think it just helps the colors pop. It's still a weird spiral staircase. It's still kind of annoying. But I don't know. You know, some stuff's got to be a little annoying, I think. Quote me on that. And we come down. We have coal. We have stone. Although, remember what I mentioned. This is not the only place for stone any longer, because I figured that seems like an artificial limitation. This is the copy of the map in the full-blown what's it? I think added another torch roughly about there. And I'll give you a little clue. These are infested blocks. But I made them look like iron. But they can place funny because of the type of block they are. So they can look a little off. And they're the wrong amount of pips. There's normal iron. That's how it's supposed to look. But this one don't. This one don't do that. Okay, but if you start digging, and hopefully those other guys, they just pop when you fight the silverfish, and you come in here, and new and improved. Not completely different, but we have cauldrons, 3 cauldrons. I learned, let me get a bottle. B-O. Okay, I learned that you can put liquid in a cauldron. What do I mean? This is water. Who cares? That's potion of strength. That's something else that went off my screen. That's potion of swiftness. Now what you can't do is if you go in here and put your feet in there is get the potion effect, which I think would be a great addition. You have 3 different brewing stands because why not? This is the only Mr. Potion. Some blaze powder in there already for you. Small potion regeneration, magma juice. See, these look the same. These look like a custom potion, except they are a food item. Now, what that does let me do differently is I can mess with the texture art. This is only half full. This one is bright orange. I have complete control over the icon. And I have an attribute on these items that when you use them, they drop an empty potion. So it's an empty bottle. So it's almost just like a potion. Over here, I just put one of each kind. The normal, the splash, the lingering. So you could put some ingredients there and make that. And here's just 3 bottles ready to go. Here are some extra bottles, a single gas tier, some components that you can use, but also kind of the directions of what they'll end up. I didn't want to give extra potions. If you want to take the time to make potions, that's awesome. So that's why they're empty and just renamed. This is the items they drop. They're the regular items, just a little retextured to kind of match the coloring of the creature. And there's at least one place in this map, maybe 2, where you can get a spawner. With a spawner, you can put a spawn egg in. So you could theoretically make a farm for whatever you want. These guys here, what I'd really love is for these to be on stage 1, this to be stage 2, or the variety of height. But that's not going to happen, because by the time I'm done making changes to the actual map and save it, they're going to be full grown. Or even if they're not, by the time you get down here, the area is going to be loaded long enough, they're going to be fully grown. So, yeah, what are you going to do? So that is the desert area and the safety hut. And next time we'll go over, I don't know, I'll figure it out then. But until next time, this has been bRan. I will see you next video. Have a great day.